Town with Jim Thornhill is brought to you as a community service of your friends at Axe TV 95 Laurel.
Well, hi there, everybody. I'm Jim Thornhill. This is Around Town here on Axe Comcast Channel 95. Glad you joined us. I tell you that we have got a couple of special shows for you this month. We're going to be doing Election 2013. Of course, a lot of cities around the state will be doing their mayor and council or their mayor and alderman elections. And we wanted to bring some of the candidates that are running for the mayor's race in the city of Laurel to you over the next few weeks, give you an opportunity to learn a little bit about who they are and why they're running for the top job in the city. And I'm certainly glad to welcome my first guest, who is no stranger, actually still serving as a councilman on the council for the city, and that's Johnny Magee. Johnny, glad you took time to come talk to us on the show.
Thank you for the invitation.
Now,
I'm glad to be here.
I tell you, the first thing I always like to do is find out a little bit about the person, because a lot of our guests on the show here are like me, imports. Right. I found Laurel when I was 18 years old, moved over here, and I call it home now at 56. The majority of my life has been in the Laurel-Jones County area. Laurel native, or are you an import like some of us?
I was born in Laurel, raised in Laurel, went to school here, went to school at JC, went to Southern Miss, but I've been in Laurel my entire life.
Well, I'm not trying to age you, but did you actually go when Gardner High was Gardner High, or
no?
I
graduated at Watkins.
At Watkins,
yes, I did.
All right, so lifelong resident. Right. Have you always lived in the ward that you're actually in now?
No, I moved into the ward I'm in now. Where I lived, where I grew up, would probably be in Ward 5 now. I'm actually in Ward 6 representing that ward. So I've moved a couple times, but all the time inside the city of Laurel.
Now, of course, the council position is a part-time job, but you do that along with a regular full-time job.
Correct.
And what is it you do when you hang your hat 40 hours a week?
Well, closer to 55 hours a week, but I'm a salesman. I work commission sales at Cowboy Maloney.
Oh, yeah,
so,
everybody familiar with that down
right.
We'll give a plug for Cowboy Maloney and Bill McMullen at Sawmill Square Mall. But do you find it a challenge mixing part-time politics with a full-time, more than a full-time job?
Well, it's quite a challenge, especially it's a challenge when constituents want to come by with problems and discuss things on the job. It's a sort of a tightrope you have to walk sometimes, but I find it enjoyable trying to juggle all those things, because even though the council is a part-time job, constituents will call you at 10, 11 o'clock at night if they have a water leak or something like that. So it's a part-time job, but on a 24/7 call basis.
And a lot of positions are like that these days.
Right.
Being in law enforcement, when you have emergencies, take for instance when Mayor Mack went into office,
right.
He was only there a few weeks, and Katrina came through and handled it very well.
Right.
Everybody from the mayor on down, the council. I can't think of one department in the city who didn't go into double overdrive and gave it that 110% effort.
Right.
But let's get to that. You know, Mayor Mack served 2 terms, had 8 good years. He's back running for his old council position that he had some years ago in Ward 7. And now we know we're going to get him a new mayor.
Correct. So
I think the thing that I just like to give you an opportunity and for everybody to be aware of, you're going to have to give up your full-time job.
Right. Correct.
And depending on the turnout, you won't be a councilman next time around. That's guaranteed.
Correct.
So why jump into the mayor's race at this time? What is it you feel like you've got to offer? Of course, you see a lot of things from the inside that the public may not hear about.
Right.
From time to time, you know, there are things that are handled before it ever gets or even needs to be presented to the public. But you're out there obviously looking for the best for your ward and the city as a whole.
Right.
But as mayor, you know, that's it. The buck stops here.
Right. And I have 23 years of public service, 16 of those years being in city council. I can begin day one replacing Mayor Mack, not taking his place, but stepping into where he ended. I've served on, if not all of the committees, the majority of the committees on the council. I know the workings of city government in Laurel. I'm very familiar with it. I'm familiar with the problems we have. I'm familiar with the great employees that we have. And from day one, Laurel will not miss a beat by my stepping into the office of mayor and continuing things as they are and even improving them.
And I think that would have been my next question. You just kind of jumped in there. Being in the position that you're in, and you've actually been president of the council at least a couple of times that I can remember.
Several times, yes.
Okay, so you know, being in the position you're in and looking at stepping up to the city's top job, what do you think would be some of the initial things, you know, when you go into office to fill another man's shoes? You know, you just can't go in there saying I'm taking his place.
Right.
I'm just continuing the job.
Right.
And I think that's a great response. But I guess the core question is, what's your vision and what do you think is going right, but what could be going better?
Well, one of the things that's going right is the 300 plus employees that we have. That's the best thing that the city of Laurel has going for it, is the dedicated employees that we have. I have found that out over the years, that they give above and beyond what they get paid for, and you can't ask for a better group of employees. But Laurel does have some challenges. Laurel can be run more like a business. Beginning that is appointing qualified people to the right positions. Just like in a business, if you don't produce, then you get replaced. That's how the city should be. You shouldn't have a job with the city that is a perpetual job. Just because you are a city civil service employee, you should not be there simply because you're civil service. If you don't produce for the taxpayers, because that's what we have to remember, is that we work for the taxpayer. The taxpayers put us there, and that is who our bosses are. And if we stop producing for the taxpayers, if we don't do the things that they want done, then it's time to replace somebody. But I will appoint qualified people to key positions. I will be a hands-on mayor. I will not delegate the authority and the decision-making of the city solely to the CAO. Not saying that the CAO's position is not important. It is a very important position. But as you said, the buck will stop with me as the mayor, because the people need a culture of accountability. They need to know where the head is. They need to know who is going to answer the questions, who's going to take the heat. And as mayor, you will have some heat occasionally, and I'm prepared to take that heat. I'm prepared to make the difficult decisions to move Laurel to its next level.
Well, you know, with any job, whether it's elected or you're working your own business or you're working for somebody, there's always that degree of pressure in the decision making.
Right.
And I can remember there's I don't think it's a cartoon, it's actually live actors, but there was a show on Saturday morning, the Power Rangers, and their thing was knowing is half the battle. So do you see it as the more you know about the workings of the city and where and having a definite direction, that the knowledge of where we are and where we need to be and having the network of contacts to get there is an advantage?
I believe it definitely is an advantage. In anything, contacts and knowing the right people to do the right job, it's definitely an advantage. Again, Laurel has some issues, Laurel has some challenges, but the right people in the right places, we can meet those challenges. One of the largest challenges that Laurel has right now, and anybody that drives through Laurel sees and realizes, is the water and sewer line issue. Everywhere you go, there's water coming up out of the street. There are sewer cave-ins, and we need to address this issue. We need to put it behind us. The pipes in Laurel are some of them over 100 years old. And it's going to come to time in which it has come to the time now that it's time to replace them, get new pipes, get new water lines, and then fix the streets. So people complain about the roughness of the streets. So it's time to move with some of these challenges, and again, to show the taxpayers that we realize that they are the boss and we need to do what they want us to do.
And you know, there are a lot of people that realize, especially, for instance, First Avenue. They've got a very good section of First Avenue that the construction or reconstruction, replacement reconstruction is finished. It's kind of like the S-curve. I remember when the S-curve project went on, it seemed like it was never going to end, but the inconvenience of having to take an alternate route, but now it's over and everybody just appreciates it, and it's like having a paper cut. It hurts when it first happens, but then in a day or two when it's over, you don't even remember that. So I guess the example there is you have to put up with the growing pains, and especially since so much of the infrastructure of Laurel is well over a century old, and you just don't change. Let's see, we've got, what is it, 15.2, 15.3 square miles of the city, but then when you talk about utilities, it's actually thousands of miles of cables and pipes and ditches and storm drains. But obviously this is an ongoing issue. So that's one to bring up. But another one I'd like to ask about, and I compliment you for talking about city employees, because I've worked with a lot of different department heads and a lot of employees in other divisions. But we are, as a city, the city of Laurel is down quite a few employees just because of the economy. Like many other cities our size and smaller and larger, they've had to make cuts. But down the road, do you think it will get back to a point where a lot of people who've taken on extra duties, that there'll be some relief down the road, and you know, we may get back to probably not as many people as there once were that are employed by the city, because big governments means more expense and that takes more tax dollars, but maybe a little relief in some of the departments that are working shorthanded, extremely shorthanded in some cases.
I believe that is definitely an issue that needs to be addressed. And as you said, we may not get back to the number of employees that we had, because technology, as you know, is not necessarily replacing employees, but making the job where it does not take as many people to do that particular job.
You get more efficient.
I don't see any layoffs happening. The one strong thing about Laurel is that its tax base, its sales tax, continues to be strong month after month. And I believe that by focusing on employees, we could definitely bring back some positions that's been frozen because of, as you said, the economy, and move some money around possibly to make sure that no department is understaffed, where that people are having to do more than they should be doing, because we don't want anybody to get to a point that they're working in an unsafe type condition because of having to work more hours or having to do more than they should have done if we had the right number of employees.
Well, I'd like to say thanks for taking time. It always seems like we never have enough time, but we do have another guest on the show today, and wish you the best of luck, as we do with everyone who's involved in all the races. But I know you took time out to be with us, and you know, we'll be watching to see what happens. It's going to be an interesting election year.
It will. Thank you so much for asking me to be here. And if I can take a plug, I need the votes of the citizens of Laurel to be the next mayor.
All right. Johnny Magee here on Around Town. Don't go away, because we're going to be back with more right after this.
Ellisville Auto Supply sells Napa auto parts, Coyote tractors, Arctic cats, Husqvarna for every need.
But I thought this was Ellisville Auto Supply.
It is, and we sell snapper mowers, Mantis tillers, and Troy-Bilt tillers.
And you say this is Ellisville Auto Supply?
Sure is. And we also sell DR brush and trimmer mowers, Bush Hog brand, Ferris mowers, and Hustler commercial grade mowers.
Ellisville Auto Supply?
Yeah, we sell auto parts too. Ellisville Auto Supply, 704 Hill Street.
And welcome back. Glad you tuned in for this special Around Town. It's our 2013 election coverage. We extended the invitation to all the candidates. Unfortunately, I did not get a response from O'Meara Scott. I think at the time we tried to line this up, she was still in Jackson with the current legislative session going on.